What's up?
Hey, thanks, Scott. How's it going? Jamie,
Andy Gomez, how are you
hey,
today?
how are you doing? Jamie Linlaw. Well, I tell you what, yeah, it's kind of still trying to get my bearings from after today's
I think
action in
everybody
the price market in the
might be
market. Huh?
feeling a little the same way, a little deer in the headlights going, wow. Of
Hmm.
course, maybe there are some people out there who eagerly embrace the short
Yeah,
side of the market. But then again, hey, it's never really blaring in your face what you should do, which is why today's webinar is so cool because we help you try and figure that out with some of the stuff that you're going to illustrate today.
exactly, exactly. And for the active trader, this kind of action is good. I know if you're just accustomed to going long all the time, it can just be brutal a day for some traders out there. But Uh, I always welcome, a shakeout in the market. Setups begin to develop, versus just kind of melt up or just everything just kind of bleeds higher. It just, yeah, I always welcome a nice, healthy shakeup in the market, and even even much further than what we're seeing now. But anyway, let's get into the action here. Thanks everybody for coming into this afternoon, taking time out of your schedule to um, join this webinar. I think you're going to be in for a little treat here. We got Jamie has something interesting to show you. I'll go over that when we get to the agenda for today, and also I'm going to be sharing a new multi-strategy with you guys. So hang on to your seats, so to say, and let's go into the disclaimer first. Let's go. I should be doing this before I start rambling on. So, guys, just remember this is for educational purposes only. All right, you're going to see and hear some interesting stuff today, and we're going to be talking about charts and setups and whatnot. But it is not to be construed as an investment advice. If that's what you're looking for, please seek out a registered advisor, a broker, somebody who can work in that capacity. So let's move forward and talk about our support, education, and training here. And it's gotten even better with our TI University. I'll go over that slide here in a minute. But now we have webinars throughout the day. We have one every day in the 5 Eastern time slot, Monday through Thursday. On Friday, it's a little bit different, but Monday through Thursday, yeah, you get a combination of myself, usually Jamie or Steve. And then on Wednesday, we throw in our CEO, Dan Merkin, and our CTO, Brad Williams. It's a great place to go to learn things coming down the pike, and also to a great Q&A place. And let's not forget the traders room with Barry. All right, he's our moderator in there, has been since inception, and he does a great job. Over 600 people in there, guys. Great place to be. It's free for everyone. Even you don't have to be a subscriber to Trade Ideas, so get in there. And Friday support sessions at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, this is a place to come if you take into TI University, or you have questions that you're curious about the software. You may have had the software for a year and you still don't know how to do something. Hey, come in that Friday support session and we will help you do it. So it's getting popular every week. It's a great hangout. We still have our Brokerage Plus in beta. Okay, guys, this is free as long as it is in beta, and you will get grandfathered. So um, check it out. This is for advanced traders only who want to take their strategies and automate them through interactive brokers. Okay, you can do that with our Brokerage Plus module. If you want more information, just go to trade-ideas.com/beta. And this is what I was referring to about more training and education. We now have TI University. All right, guys, and if you're new here, or if you've been in for a few months and you want to come and learn a lot more, what this is, each class is an hour and a half long. We usually talk for about 1 hour, and then we open the last 30 minutes up for Q&A. We have, oh, I should have done that. Here we go. We have Beginners 101 on Monday, 201 on Tuesday, 301 on Wednesday, and 401 on Thursday. So you go through the whole gauntlet here, and it's an hour and a half each day. And I can promise you, by the time that week is over, you're going to learn a lot about our software. So guys, get in there. If you haven't and you want to, just go to this. You can find it under training in the footer section of our website, and just sign up for it. Something that you do need to sign up for, though. Okay, so you will get invites. All right, so let's move forward for the agenda for today. Market recap. I definitely got some things to talk about. I mentioned last week how the S&Ps were potentially setting up what's called a bear flag, even though we're real close to highs. The pattern was looking kind of bearish, and the same thing I mentioned about the VIX was setting up kind of a bull flag. Well, those both came to fruition today, and we're going to talk about that. Holly recap. There's some great directional bias this morning with Holly. All shorts, and then Jamie's going to give you. You guys. I'm so glad you showed up today, because you're going to give you a sneak peek at our new logic. Okay, our new. Basically Holly Strategies. It's our test server, and he's going to give you a look at how it performed today and what's coming down the line. And then I teased you earlier. Okay, we're going to. Steve brought this up on Tuesday, showing you in the symbol list how you can go find daily candlestick pattern formations in there. Well, I'm taking it one more step further today, and I've created a new multi-strategy window that I'm going to share with you. And what I've done is I've dropped some of those daily strategies into this M window. And I tell you, it's a bullish one today, because when I woke up this morning, I had no idea we were going to see this much downside action. But nonetheless, some pretty good, interesting setups came through there, and I'm going to share that with you. So. And if we have time, guys, we'll go in and talk about the chart request. So let me back out of this real quick, pull up the SPY daily here, if I can grab it in the corner. There we go. All right, guys. So what we were seeing here, if you don't look at today, and let's see if I can get that. See if I can pull that up. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it. But anyway, let me show you what we were looking at, and I kind of drew for you last week. We're going to go in here, mark up, and do what's called a good old trend line. And we're just going to kind of show you what this pattern was doing. If I can grab it. All right. It's not going to be perfect, guys, but you'll get the picture. This was a gap down, so it really didn't trade there to down, so I'm kind of eliminating the tail on that one, but that's okay. You could still be able to see the pattern here, and I'm going to mark up draw another trend line. Guys are also getting a kind of an education on using these trend lines, and there you have it. So this is what you call a kind of a bear flag. Okay, most of these you find. You don't typically find them at the top, of a formation, but we definitely, we have to go back to this point over here where we hit the spider's high and we sold off hard, and then this flag started to develop. And I said, typically you find these patterns, more in the mid-range or definitely down at the lower end of a daily chart, but this was still developing into what potentially is not potentially, but it is a bear flag. Obviously, you got to see which direction it goes out of that, but in a lot of cases, and in most cases, I say it has a tendency to go in the direction, of or lower for a bearish flag. I'll show you a bullish flag here in a minute when I show you the VIX, and I also talked about that. And now what we have, guys, is a gap down out of this bearish flag formation and basically trading all the way down to lows. There's a lot of technical damage, being done here. Once again, much like what we saw over here. Saw a lot of technical damage. Took a while to try to build back up and potentially get to highs, even though the Qs did get to highs. This never could quite make it, the SPYs, and it formed this little, bearish flag, and we had a gap down out of it and sold off and crashed to lows, closing on basically about a month low, a little over a month low there. Volume not incredible, nothing like we saw over here. I think the relative volume in the SPYs were 1.51. And really, I noticed with about 2 hours left in the day, it was just barely over 1. It was like 1.13 or something like that when I looked. So not the kind of volume that you see accustomed to a big sell-off like this. What does that mean? I don't know, because only price pays. I mean, I can say this: a lot of these up days where we just kept moving higher and higher was on anemic volume. And the bulls would argue, like when people would say there's no volume, they'll tell you, trust me, I hear a lot of them out there that only price pays, and that's right. So now I guarantee you there's a lot of talking heads saying, we're selling off, but the volume's not really there, nothing to be scared about. Once again, guys, price pays. We'll see what happens. But yeah, well, this is interesting. There's a lot of destruction here. I don't know what's going to happen, but boy, if I'm loaded up to the long side in my 401k, or I'm keeping an eye on this for sure. We can quickly take a look at some of the other diamonds, or even looking more. I mean, they took out all the way down to basically almost this low back in February. So definitely the weak link here, and is the diamonds. Now, granted, it's only 30 stocks, so I don't like to reflect too much on this one. Or we'll take a look at the Qs real quick. Facebook kind of started this kind of action a few days ago, and you can see where they've went through highs, taking out that January high, and really quickly put in what we call a dark cloud cover, and has been
Andy, it makes you wonder. It makes you kind of wonder if all this Facebook and social media hullabaloo wasn't going on, and everybody pretty much has been exposed to the data manipulation, whatever you want to call it, people's private data. Was that the catalyst, or was that the event that kind of started this? Interesting. Maybe not, but sure does seem like good timing.
Yes, and it could, and that's good insight, Jamie. And of course, everybody's going to talk about the trade wars, but guys, keep in the back of your mind, you really don't need a reason. That's why I don't watch and listen to a lot of news. I mean, the talking heads will sit there and tell you, oh, this is healthy. We just need to work through these trade wars, get this Facebook, and I'm starting to see Google now, and so even Apple. And so it's like, guys, once again, it's price that pays. We have gone up for a very, very long time, and so a 30 to 35, 40% correction wouldn't faze me at all. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but geez, you go up for 9 years, yeah, it's gonna happen eventually. It's just a matter of when. So watch, once again, be a student of charting, of charts, technical analysis, okay, and try not to listen to all the talking heads out there telling you it's a perfect, pullback right now. You need to be loading, buying into this, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying be careful, because we have come a long ways, and we are due. Whether we could still be in another bull market for 5 years for all I know, but I know, the technicals now, we're back below our moving averages, where the tape is getting ugly again, and there's some damage being done. So just be on the lookout. That's all I can say. And one other thing too, I wanted to go over this because, like I said, the SPY was setting up that bear flag. I mentioned this several times, and I'm not patting myself on the back, guys. I'm just saying that I was really shocked when the Qs went back to highs and the spiders were not far from highs. Look at this VIX. It got nowhere near its lows over here. I mean, it was holding up really well, considering that all the major averages were back close to highs. And so if I zoom in on this VIX here, you can see basically what is considered to be and I don't know if that's my line. No, I drew one down here. I drew this horizontal line here, and there is your, your bearish flag there, pennant maybe, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
want to call it. But look at that, just right out of it today. So that is a very bullish pattern where it's a bullish pattern to a very defunct toxic ETF, but still it's a bullish pattern. So keep that in the back of your mind, and we will. I should let Jamie. I'm sorry, Jamie. Anything you want to add to the market recap there?
No, good stuff. And the VIX finished the day almost 1.7 on relative volume. So not on light
Mm-hmm.
volume, we could say.
Exactly.
People are still buying that insurance.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time. Now, where might we go? Spiders, we're basically, I think this pivot line went right here. I am not seeing a whole lot of support right here, so we could have a date with this low. Remember, we bounced right off the 200-day moving average in spiders. Might want to go back down and test it again. We'll see. I don't see a whole lot of support, is what I'm saying. So, all right, let's get into the fun stuff here, because I'm anxious to see what Jamie has to say about that test server and the little strategies that may be coming soon. So, Jamie, if you are ready, there you go. I see it, and
okay,
man,
perfect.
that's crisp.
Good deal. Good deal. I like it when it's crisp.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're seeing right now, ladies and gents, is just regular Holly today. Same thing that everybody else. Oops, sorry about that. I accidentally hit the mute button. So this is just regular Holly, the same thing that everybody else saw today that was watching Holly. So, what Holly did today, I can't say I'm displeased with. Most of the activity was short. Now, she did come to the party with 10 strategies total. Only 3 of those were short, and those other 7, as you can see here, were longs. And of course, these guys down here never got a nibble. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the strategies never even fired. We did have 2 longs pop out here on a total of 9 trades, but the other 7 were all shorts. And once again, this is activity that is not coming through a whole lot, all right, since we brought Holly online. We started to see these days where she's putting on a lot more short trades, more short strategies are showing up in the hopper. Now, is this just a symptom of a little churn in the market? As Andy was laying out so clearly there on the charts. I mean, it's anybody's game right now. We're definitely in a down move with lots of volume. So we might go lower, maybe not. But the bottom line is, just like the price doesn't matter. It doesn't listen to anybody. Price is price, right? It doesn't care. It goes where the buyers and sellers take it, regardless of what the community and everybody else, all the talking heads are saying. And whether or not Facebook acted as a catalyst, who knows? Andy's absolutely right. All that matters in the end is price. So the best way, the closest thing we have to certainty in the markets is technical analysis. Of course, we can set up some good guideposts. This might happen. This might go up. This might go down. And then we have the other thing, which is math, which manifests itself in a statistical model with Miss Holly here. So out of the strategies today, obviously the shorts were dominant. And we can see here from the trade blotter, and I'll just sort by time over here, Holly waited about 36 minutes. We can see here market opened 6:30. First trade out of her hopper today was at 7:06, and then we kind of picked it up here. And then, between 7:06 and 9:03 here, what do we see? All shorts. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades out of the hopper, Holly telling us, I'm going short today. I'm seeing a lot of short opportunity. Now, in addition to what Andy was pointing out, how we kind of string things together after seeing this candle form the other day, and then we gap down between the trend line that's not obvious on my chart, but Andy had it up here. That's sign number 1, right? Because we always have to temper expectations. Those of you who watched the compare count windows today or this morning after the first 15 minutes, let's see, I'll just drag it over here just to give everybody a peek. But these were the readings on the big cap compare counts that we use to track institutional selling in the first 15 minutes or so. And just like the other day, big bias to the sell side, right? And coupling that with the fact that we didn't have a huge, vacillation to the upside or the downside in the SPY right in the opening 15 minutes. If I just put a little arrow right here, here's the end of the 15 minutes when this candle right here closes. So, a little swoon down, a little swoon back up to highs, and then as soon as we come back down here and release, it was off to the races. Now, pretty severe little bounce here, all the way back up to almost highs. Nice and whipsaw action, but that's, this type of action has been no stranger. But to see, see what we were coming into the day with, coupled with the strong metrics to the downside with the compare counts, and then to see the AI model just start going short right off the bat, boom, 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 that tells us something that really does help us temper our expectations for how the day might play out. And so Holly did not knock it out of the park today, but had a nice, decent performance in a down market. So we can see here, risk off was profitable for part of the day, and I thought it was going to hold up, and I thought we were going to see green on both sides today, but in the end, risk on won the day. All right, and so let's talk a little bit about the differences here. For those of you who attend on the regulars, you know exactly what I'm about to say, but for those of you who are new, with Holly, we have risk on and risk off, and we can see each individual trade here and what she booked with the risk off, and then we can consult. I'll just push this over here for easy reference. Risk on the first trade here, or not the first trade, but the biggest spread between risk off and risk on today was NRG. So here we're looking at the NRG trade, and wow, what a beautiful little entry right up there, Andy. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get any better than that. So she takes a little short piece right here, and why does she get out? On the time to exit. Of course, what is the time to exit for selling into strength? Well, let's take a look at the strategies panel. We can see that one's geared up for a 60-minute hold time. Of course, we all know Holly is better on the entries and not the exits, and that's where the whole man and machine comes into play, is we rely on her for the statistical probability, and sometimes we can do a little bit better on the exit than her. So her 60-minute hold time expires, her stop loss or profit target had not been hit, right about this area right here, right where you see the shading turn from a darker green and red to a lighter, the dark area. This coincides with her getting out under risk off. And of course, used to seeing these charts inverted, because usually these nice setups are longs, but not today and not recently. And so, a nice little downside action, little consolidation sideways first, then we take a leg down. Then we get more of this little micro consolidation right here. It looks real NR70 right there. Holly's program time comes up, so she bails on it. She's like, I'm doing what I'm programmed to do, exiting after an hour. Of course, the thing had only moved 16 cents at that point. Now, the best way, I think, to get used to risk off and risk on is with a trade-by-trade basis. So let's just say we were in 200 shares with Holly here. We see Holly pulling the plug right here. It's always a great idea to do a little bit of both. Book half that profit with Holly, set a stop loss of break even on your second lot. And in this case, you would have been rewarded. It threw a little bit of a wiggle, but I'm sure there were a lot of stocks out there doing the same thing, including the overall market. Never got back up to that break-even line. And then we got a nice release down to, just never got back down to the low of the opening candle, but still a very nice little sell-off. So 55 cents versus 16, 39 cents in the middle of the spread there. And whether you got a dime of that, a nickel, 30 cents of it on a trade-by-trade basis, 1 penny, 2 pennies over time, it really adds up to make a huge difference. So that's kind of the best way to go about getting in the hang, or getting in the niche of being familiar with risk off and risk on and what it means. And sometimes the charts are a lot more obvious. Anytime we're seeing a little sideways action here from a statistically weighted play, I'm always going to give it, the time that it needs. and let those hard stops come into play. Of course, I'm noticing, Andy, here I'm not seeing the stop. I got to go a little bit longer time period here. So when I click over here to 15-minute candles, we can see the stop right up here, and it never even came close.
No.
What we call a pain-free trade. All right. A couple of more of these. Reduced risk is what got her on SNH. Now, of course, this one came a lot closer to stopping her out, but the longer she's in the trade and it's not working, she does have the option, I should say, to get out of a losing trade early and sometimes get out of a winning trade with profit save. Of course, we don't see any of those here today. So Holly makes the entry right here, and it's just the opposite of NRG. NRG was a pain-free trade. NRG gave us, SNH gave us a little pain. As soon as we made the entry here, boom, 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 almost up to that stop area. Okay, and so why do we have hard stops? Well, they typically need to be tended to. In other words, stick to your hard stops. Just to kind of regress a little bit here, why does Holly have reduced risk and profit save? Well, because we have to keep her from letting a winner turn into a loser that can play havoc on a model of this nature. So whereas you have one, you have to have the other two, and comes reduced risk. But what I'm about to show you guys when we're done with today's action is addressing that further and improving upon that exit logic and seeing significantly different results. And we'll get to that here in just a minute here. So once again, no stop out. And then, slowly a regression back down. And by the end of the day, up 28 cents. So when I'm looking at a pattern like this where it's almost getting stopped out, since we're all watching Holly during the market hours, when I see these, right, and I see it come up here and wick, and then it starts to go down, then we can always use this mark here as a entry signal. Or we could come down here and go, well, it's way out, so I could try to play it early and rest on this wick as a short, very tight stop loss. That's a little bit riskier, right? But if it does punch you out, it's not by much. Or when we see something out of the money, but not quite stopped out, we can always come down here and set another price alert. So that when it comes back down here on the second attempt, that wouldn't have been that bad of a signal right there. Biggest move of the day. Now, it did happen in the last 10 minutes of the market, but hey, as Andy says, price action is price action. So if you would have set that alert for the second occurrence, boom, you would have gotten immediate gratification there, assuming you had time to get the fill here, but it looks like you did in that 5-minute candle. So we could also lump this into what we call the trade around category. Seeing Holly out of the money, setting that price alert for the second occurrence, and sometimes first occurrence doesn't work, going back to what we call timing, right? And whether it's with Holly or any of the windows that we're looking at, it's all about timing. The pattern is not necessarily, or pattern identification isn't necessarily, oh, I'm diving in headlong. We also want to attach low risk to that entry as well. So we'll just take one more example here. Of course, don't want to just look at all the winners. We'll take a look at the losers as well here. The losers down here, hey, surprise, surprise, they were longs. And many of us, we saw the bullish trend change spit out SGN, and it looks like risk off and risk on here, 42 cents, no matter how you slice it or dice it. It got stopped out, so therefore risk on is not going to update. So we were talking about this the other day, Andy. One of the newer logic layers, not the stuff I'm going to show you guys now, is when something gets stopped out, risk on no longer updates. So that's why we're not seeing this value lower than what we see here, because it was a hard stop hit. Now, a lot of us here at the TI crew in the last hour, we were very surprised to see power hour long spit anything out, because typically there are, well, not typically, there are market directional filters in there. And so as soon as we saw this guy pop out, I'm like, give me that configuration. I want to see, is this in parameters, or did it just barely sneak through? And basically the market directional filter for that one is at a net change of 0. As long as it's not down any amount, then that trade could fire. So SUPN barely squeaked through today, but it was legitimate. And so we just kind of wanted to bring that to people's attention. It gave it a try because the parameters fit the mold. But as we can see here, just doesn't matter. The two longs today did not produce. They were both losers. So that's pretty much it for Holly today. You know, we did have maybe 15 cents in between here on the ARLP, but nothing to write home about. But then again, 15 cents, a nickel, a dime on average, compounded on all your trading activity is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, Jamie, I have to make a comment today about how, I mean, this is a great example of how to use Holly as a market barometer. You could see the first of all, she was quiet for the first, 30 minutes, a little bit over 30 minutes as the market tried to make a little bounce. And then she fired off, 3 shorts. So she fired off 3 shorts, and then after that, she fired off a couple of more shorts. Okay, so gap down market, and you may be coming in thinking, oh man, I'm going to buy this gap down. But if you're watching Holly, she's kind of showing you the winds, the direction of the winds, and it just the shorts, even though few less strategies made the cut versus the longs, the shorts predominantly just took over and was kind of, like I said, it's being a great barometer today. And so not only is Holly, good for calling some really good alerts. I mean, she could be used, just like we say, the canary in the coal mine sometimes. So this is a great example. If you're looking to go long, maybe you're sitting on your hands the first 30 minutes, and all of a sudden you're seeing all these long strategies and nothing's firing off, but then all of a sudden she starts firing off all these shorts, and sure enough, the market, went in that direction. So we call that directional bias, and Holly really gave it to us today. So trust me, because I've been an avid trader for 20 years, and I know how traders think, and especially if you like playing the long side, and you come in a day where it's gapping down, you're thinking, wow, I'm looking for and I just can't tell you how much this can help you, just as far as maybe keeping you away from some longs if the market is in such a bearish tape.
Yeah, Andy, you know how many people probably bought this little level right here, bought this dip right here, because they're like, it's not going to really get down into that area. Of course, buy the dip worked for a little bit today, but if you didn't take them, right back down against you. So yeah, the buy the dip is starting to show cracks in the armor, and as Andy was pointing out, not only does Holly produce these statistically weighted trades, which is very golden in and of itself, but if we're the pilot as the trader, then Holly is certainly the navigator as well.
Exactly.
So okay, on to the new stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So just want to say before I jump into this that, and you've probably heard this from Dan and myself and probably Steve and Andy at other points in time, but we are developing at a pace which runs circles around any other software developers right now. We've got more coders on staff than probably, 2 or 3 of these other companies combined. That's why we can develop and put out versions rapidly. Okay, and so, everybody's heard the story from me, Andy, Sean, Steve. Holly's strong suit are the statistical entries. She's not so good at exits, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but now the tide is turning. So we've been diligently working at, improving those weak aspects, making everything as strong as we possibly can, which takes quite the talent pool of coders and idea guys and traders. So instead of me babbling onward, what I'm going to do here is just go to my tools and point to a different server. Okay, so before I make the switch, risk on $1.16, risk. Okay, so $1.16 for risk on, and 27 cents for risk off. Okay. Now we'll go to the super secret test server. Okay. All right. Now we see maybe some different strategies in here, right? We see risk on at, as opposed to $1.16, $3.78. and even risk off is profitable to the tune of 72 cents. And of course, what do we have here? We've got different action as well. We've got knocking on resistance, spitting out 10 trades, and firing off a 90% win rate today. Of course, power hour long, same song and dance there. 1 trade, 0 wins, and then downward dog, 1 trade, 1 winner. And talk about a bias. You know, here I am sorting by time, and you know, a blotter, basically a blotter full of shorts, and of course the 1 power hour long squeaked in there just like it did on the other one. But you also see different names in here, different names. Now, of course, this might not be exactly accurate, so you know what we've got going on here: modifications to existing strategies. That's always a good thing to do for the signals. But then modifiers on exit parameters, folding in custom formulas as additional exit criteria. That's what's going on behind the scenes now, and this is the result. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys a peek into, you know, what's going on behind the scenes, you know, and we've been monitoring this the whole time, and this alternative cluster with the alternative rules and the modifications is doing exactly what we hoped it would do, improving performance quite significantly. You know, big difference between $1.16 and 3.78. And of course, taking a look at some of these charts, you know, fold, here we are looking at some 15-minute candles. I mean, what a beautiful entry up there. You know, that boy, talk about a pain-free trade. So I know, Andy, I don't want to eat up too much time here, but I just wanted to give everybody a peek into the development that's going on, and you know, hopefully the testing keeps going well, nothing breaks in the meantime, and hopefully we'll be pumping this new version out to you guys. And it might not be a replacement in the future. We haven't really decided how we're going to make this available to you guys. Will you be able to, you know, have 2 AIs functioning in different capacities, or pick one or the other? We haven't figured that out yet, but as soon as we do, we'll be passing it on out. And that's pretty much it.
All right, that's great stuff, Jamie, man. I can't wait till some of these things get implemented. Yeah, we brought you guys. A lot of you guys know Bonpara. Michael Noss is on staff now, and he's putting his ring in the hat and showing us some interesting formulas for exits. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm looking for some of these to be implemented. All right, guys, I teased you about a new multi-strategy window. So what we're going to do, Steve introduced, well, it's been, and like you, Jamie, I was aware of it. As a matter of fact, I remember having a question about it about 1.5 years ago. Somebody was asking about, you know, how those get calculated and when they get calculated, those daily candlestick patterns in our symbol list. But I didn't, you know, I hate to say it, but I've kind of not ignored it, but I just seem like they always have something else going on. Well,
it hides. That menu is so deeply buried that we've all been aware of it for a very long time. But you know, we've got a lot of information swimming around in our old noodles as well. And after a while, you know, it's kind of funny how it came to be, right? We were talking about that.
Yep.
So anyway, I'll let you explain it here, Andy.
Yeah, by all means. It does hide, and also it also over the years and even over the months, it's become more relevant just because all the filters we've added, position and range filters. Because let's face it, and Holly can vouch for this. I mean, these setups are only as good as the alerts and filters that you implement along with them. So what I've done today, and real quickly, I'll show you, go into configuration here. Let's just take a look at this strategy here. Before I go into that, I'm just going to go into the symbol list and show you guys where you can find this in case you missed Steve's webinar on Tuesday. So if you go into our symbol list tab in the alert config window, you will see in the upper right hand corner add existing list. Well, one of the reasons it hides is because you have to actually expand the box, and you'll find what's called daily. And if you click on the little plus symbol, it's going to pull up all the daily patterns, candlestick patterns that we have available for you. Now, this is not something that you look at in real time, okay? This is something that's going to show you the pattern that's set up the day before, okay? So keep that in mind as we're working through, and I'm sharing this multi-strategy window with you. But if you are looking for, let's say, dark cloud cover, you can go into this symbol list and you can click on it and you can add it over here, and now you have dark cloud cover. And now you can create an alert window, or actually a top list if you wanted to alert you on price action that happens after the day of a dark cloud cover. So what I've done here is I've taken 4 of these and I created a bullish daily candlestick patterns, I should say. So let's open up. Let me just go into configuration and show you what I have here in the strategies. I have a doji pattern, a hammer pattern, a bottoming tail, and green bar reversal. So these are my 4 daily candlestick patterns that I'm using as for each strategy. Okay. So what I want to do, I wanted to drop them into an A window and use a new high alert that will alert me on a stock hitting a new high after these patterns. So for simplicity, I made most of these alerts and filters with the same configuration, and I'll show you what I did here. Okay, so I'm just going to go to configure all. Anytime you can go to configure all, it will show you what filters they all share in common. So if I go in here and I hit edit selected, I can see here, I hit hide unused, it's going to show me what filters these all share in common. Now, I'll tell you right now, I'm using a new high alert for these. Okay, so remember, the daily pattern happened the day before, and then I want to see a stock hitting a new high with these parameters set. And because it's more of a kind of a swing setup, remember, when you're playing off a daily pattern, it's more, for me, it's more potentially valuable as a swing setup. So, but it doesn't mean you can't use it for day trading. So basically, all I want to do is when it's hitting a high, I want it to be basically at least average or above 5-minute volume. Okay, I want to average daily volume of 300,000 shares a day based on a 10-day average. Relative volume needs to be normal, at least normal minimum or above. And price above $5. And here is the key, the all-important position in range. Okay, so I just don't want to see these highs hitting if they're not anywhere near or about to break out of the previous setup or candlestick pattern that I'm looking at. So by putting position in previous days range at 99%, remember guys, it's your old show me button. The price is at least 99% above the low end of this range. So I know of yesterday's range, it's about to take out a high, or it may have already gapped up and already taken out on the open. I don't know. I'm fine with that. I don't have a max in here. I'm just using a minimum. So these are my parameters. So now I know, hey, I have a potential for a move here on these things. Now, the only one's difference, when you see a little gray box out there, that's telling you that there is at least one of your strategies that has a different change from 50-day SA. Now, I'll tell you what I did on 4 of them by going into configuration here and going into the filters. You can see change from 50-day SMA. I want them above their 50-day SMA. Okay, this is a bullish setup for me. I want them above the 50-day moving average. But the only one I made an exception on is this bottoming tail, because a lot of times you get these bottoming tails at the end of a very bad move. So I left that strategy off on the bottoming tail. If I go to the configuration of that one, you're going to see there's no change. There is no minimum or maximum in here for the change of the 50-day. All right, so interesting. Let's go and take a look at some of these. All right, so the way you go into history on a multi-strategy window is you right-click, you go to history, and you go to time frame, and you just kind of, it'll be set up like this when you first go in there. If you want to see the action for today, all the alerts that came through today, just click on now, okay, and hit OK. You can also go and do other price ranges if you like to, but just to see the stuff, just click on now, hit OK. it's going to spit out everything that came through here today. So, and of course, I color coded these so each strategy would be a different color. And yes, Mike, I will share this. So you'll see here, these are the strategies. This is the first one that came through this morning. But what I want to do is expand my window again here, and let's check out some of these strategies. I want to verify and make sure these candle patterns are actually setting up like they said. Now, you will get a lot of these green bar reversals. So I may come in here later and tweak my filters on this just a little bit because I felt like I got a little bit too many of these. But let's take a look at them anyway. Nice one. This is one that sold off here, and then you have a potential green bar. That's the setup bar. This is what, when you do your if you were to run this evening, you are not going to get the patterns from today. They probably won't come out till in the morning. Okay, our servers go through all night long pinging these patterns. Okay, so it really probably won't complete until early in the morning. So when I share this, and if you run this strategy tomorrow, it will pick up the candles today. But right now, everything you're looking at is the setup from yesterday. All right, so there is JEX. Not bad. I mean, let's face it, today was an ugly day in the market, but boy, look at this one.
That's not bad at all.
That isn't. Now, you're not going to see a lot like that. Let's put everything into perspective now. It was one of the ugliest days this year in the market, okay, and this is a bullish pattern. So, but I found some really interesting stuff. Look at this P here, gapping up, came out early this morning, a green bar reversal. ARCC, I can't remember, these were all going, look at there.
Wow.
See, it even picked up this right here. So even though that's not really that much of a bullish candle, it's still, you had several days of sell-off, and then yesterday you had a greenish green bar. There's ones I think we've already looked at. Let's take a look at MAC, bottoming tail. Yeah, not much happened to it today. You did get a little action off that bottoming tail, but still, under pressure here. It needs a lot of work to look bullish. And you're seeing a lot of repeats, of course. Here's a doji formation. Boom. Now remember, you don't get alerted to this until it takes out, the high, right? When it takes out the high. The way we can check our work here is 1812 was the first call. If I point the cursor here, and of course, I'm not going to get the data, so we'll just measure it up here. And there you go. You got it right through. Actually, it was a little bit later than that. KRG, bottoming tail. Yeah. Potential. I mean, the thing about these bottoming tails, guys, if you trade something like this, I mean, you're going to see a lot of ugly daily patterns, but a lot of times when they put in that tail, especially the really long tails, and they pop back up on a day, I don't condone bottom fishing that much, but it can be very profitable if you are very disciplined and you get out when you're supposed. In other words, if it fails, you can catch things at the right price. There's one that really didn't work. There was your bottoming tail yesterday. So that's what I'm saying. You have to be careful. If you're wrong, just get out quickly.
Well, I like those because your risk is pretty clearly identified on all of these. There's no guesswork, right?
No, there's no guesswork. You're right. Here's one. But remember, this is it's tough to really grade this based upon the action today. I'm going to let this thing run for a few days. But nonetheless, some decent strategies. I also put a position in range filter so you guys can see real quickly, where they are in the range, like this ADP that came through. Green bar reversal. It's at the top of its range. It didn't follow through today. It looks like the market finally got a hold of it, pulled it back down. But nonetheless, hey, maybe one to keep an eye on. It's a very strong pattern chart there. So anyway, I'm not going to go through a lot of these. BST, there's a green bar. Let me see some more of this bottoming tails. Oh, there's an interesting one. Look at that. Had that bottoming tail yesterday. Could be a possible reversal there. Even if it wasn't, you had some nice, nice day trading action today. Let me take a look at that. Yeah, there's where it went off right there. in the 15-minute chart. So man, that would have been a nice little trade there on a day trade. Like that, Jamie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
kind of breaking out of that. I know how you are about those ranges, morning ranges. Draw the
Oh, I love
horizontal
that.
line, poked it, went sideways, and then finally went.
You know, I was just reading up on Marsh's question there. Let's see here. It triggers if at least 99% above yesterday's low. So if yesterday's low is 10, then it triggers at what?
Okay, Marcia, here's a good way. Here's a good way to look at it. Okay, it's in a range. Okay, so it's if yesterday's range in a stock was $9 to $10, that's the range. Let's say a stock traded between $9 and $10. Okay, and I have it set to not alert me unless it's 98% above yesterday's low, which was $9. It factors in the whole range. Okay, so if you're using $9 and $10 as a range, it's going to trigger at $9.98. Does that make sense? So basically, in that scenario, it would trigger 2 cents. Yeah, okay, she got it. So it would trigger 2 cents below yesterday's highs. Okay, great. Glad you. Yeah, I'm going to share that with you here in just a second. Going to see if we got. Oh, that one's one that came through earlier. That's probably about all of them. And some of these, NXTM came through bottoming tail, and it also came through another one I remember seeing. Oh, the bullish green bar. So you will see a couple of these come through. Let me see where they go. Thought I saw it in another. Man, maybe I didn't. No, well, I'll let you guys play around with it and master it. And you can always go in here and change your filters. If you're getting too much, maybe you want to go in there and add some more volume filters. But be careful adding too much, because once again, you're playing off a daily pattern, so the volume may not kick in, till later. I did add some columns for 5-minute volume, so you can see the ones that are doing high relative volume and high 5-minute volume. All right, so what I'm going to do is put this back on real time. All right, and then I'm going to, just a little quirk in our system that if you ever run across this, I'm going to show you what to do. So in other words, if you are in history, let's say I'm in history, and you want to go in and add some columns, you can't do that when you're in a multi-strategy history. So if I right-click in here and I go to properties, see how my columns are grayed out? It won't let you do that. So just remember that, just a little idiosyncrasy. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to go and put it back on real time. Once you're on real time, then you can go to properties and you can add your columns. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that, because I know it first caught me off guard and I had to figure out why the heck it wouldn't let me add a column. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do in our chat window, I am going to save this to the save and share to the cloud. Okay, I'm going to copy all, and I'm going to drop this in our chat window. So if you find your chat window on your GoToWebinar interface, you will find bullish. I'm just going to put bullish, man. This is the only thing I'm dropping in there, so it's not like you guys are going to get confused. Paste. And what I may do for next week, I may create some bearish ones. I mean, if this market wants to get nasty on us, let's be prepared, and let's create some bearish ones. One thing, guys, okay, when you get that, you may not, Jamie, I don't know if they will be able to, if you haven't added the symbol list to your side, you may have to go in and do that. So what you want to do, if you're not getting data when you first pull this up, okay, you should get, your last 3 or your most recent alerts from every strategy. If you don't get it,
just so you know, I pulled it up over here, and they're already pointed to the proper list. It appears
they are.
So everything's
okay.
Yep, Doji's pointed to Doji.
Can anybody else? Oh, great. Oh, great. All right. I didn't know if they'd have to actually go into the symbol list and add that symbol list first, and then check
Yeah,
it. So that's
it
good.
looks like they've all been added automatically. They show up
Sweet,
automatically. Yep,
sweet, great. All
perfect.
right, guys. Well, yeah, I hope the guys can help that finds opportunity for you. And with that said, yeah, we're about out of time, guys. I'm sorry we're not going to have time to dive into any chart requests this evening, but hang on. I'm going to bring Scott in. He's going to offer you guys a nice little discount. So, Scott, if you're ready to come back in.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Days like today should really get you to download the new ebook if you haven't already. It's an ebook that's useful with 5 great strategies to have in your back pocket for when the market isn't behaving in a buy the dip way. Andy and Jamie both contributed to it, so go ahead and take advantage of the free offer. It's trade-ideas.com/ebook. It's a free one. You just plug in your email and it sends it to you. We also have a podcast. There's a new one coming out tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed. Just search for Trade Ideas Podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, and you should find it. Just click on subscribe, and you can listen to the last week's episode to get ready for tomorrow's. And we'll have tomorrow's up a little bit later after the close, so stay tuned for it. I'm sure it's going to feature Jamie and Dan. We also have a code. It's good this month. The month is coming to an end, so be sure to use it before March expires. Holly March, all caps, saves you 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. Take advantage of that. You can also use it to upgrade if you want to get on the premium side of Trade Ideas and get the use of Holly and all the back testing. Just use that after you log into our website and click on the change your subscription link, and you can just plug that in. Any questions, though, email us, info@trade-ideas.com. You can also follow Steve Gomez at QuantBot, Steve Gomez at Today Trader, Jamie Hodge at QuantBot, Dan Merkin's Trade Ideas 1. We've also got Trade Ideas and some other handles that you'll find when you follow us. Find us on Facebook, /Trade Ideas Pro there. If you like us, you can share all our stuff that we post with your friends. And we don't have any app on Facebook, so we're not scraping your data. We just want you to share the stuff. Thanks, everyone. We'll have the recording up later tonight or tomorrow morning. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks, everybody, and thanks for your kind words. And see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Later, y'all.